what makes it even harder as a preacher, as a pastor, as far as sexual urges, you, in a sense, you're used to handling people, but not being open to handle other people, number one. Number two, your parameters are so wide. The other thing, it speaks to the volume of how big and massive you are as a person, like the complexities of your personality when you can pastor a church of 500 people or 1,000 people or 2,000 people. You can get along with everybody, but they can't get along with each other. How can one person get along with everybody in the congregation, but all these people that are on the same level can't get along? Because a pastor has to be wide enough, if he's a good pastor, wide enough to relate to Junebug, who just got out of prison, Miss Jerry, who been saved for 40 years, Deacon Brown, who smoked certain times, you know, Deacon whoever else who there's teenagers, kids, to be personable, to joke, to laugh, and to preach in such a way that you now gather all these people with one goal, one faith, on the same level where if we're going to use bigger words for them, analogies for them, concepts for this person. So it shows, and now you got to think, this is not just church. Those same parameters that makes you be able to pastor all these people and they flock to you and you relate to them based on some dimension of your personality. When you go into dating, you now attract every type of woman and you're wide enough to relate to them and actually care for each of them. But you have to determine, who am I as a person at the end of the day who can handle the weight of the diversity of this personality, the weight of my calling from God, and my intensity towards study, my intensity of my sex drive, because I'm not just spiritual. Because I can relate to spirit-led people, but I'm also carnal. I'm also, you know. So that's the dilemma. Like my discipline towards study, a woman has to understand that. My personality to be able to learn, to be able to have a sense of humor. I can go from joking and laughing to being extremely analytical, and I can be alone or around a group of people. It's almost to be bipolar in a sense. It really is. Yeah. But every person has these complexities to their personality that you have to be honest enough with yourself to say, like I've met women, and you care a lot about them. And you got to figure out, is this the pastor in me or is this the person? Is it the preacher, is it the person? Because you want to minister to that need. Absolutely. You want to help that person, and as you help them, you have to have a relationship to help them. Right. Now sometimes you can misconstrue it and lose it, and I've done it. Dated some people that they were wounded birds. I picked them up, dusted them off, and if you enjoy the process along the way, you look at the end of the day, and you realize the joy was in putting them back together, but there was no one mending me. Right. So now when it's time to be what I need you to be, a person can only offer you what they have. Yeah. You don't have those dimensions to your personality. Neither do you have an understanding of my personality. So how do we mesh the two? You're looking at me right now, and every day I'm improving, I'm growing, I'm changing. And if you're stagnant, you've just gotten to the highest you. You know what I'm saying? You just reached the closest level of your potential. Let's say yours was here, and I brought you from here to there. Or God brought you, or whatever the case, via my help. My potential's up here. I brought you to here. Now that I brought you there, I've accelerated. You're all the way down here and wondering, dang, you've changed. No, I haven't. Not at all. You've only seen one side of me, and the very need that is met that brings a woman like that to certain men with callings on their life will be the same insecurity that's heightened when she sees you ministering out of not of your person, but out of your pastor and your preacher to the same type woman.
Wow, that's good. That's I agree with that, because I've been in the same scenario, and then I have a mercy gift, the same. I've gotten into some relationships like that as well, and it did seem one-sided. It seemed where, like you said, you pouring in, but then you're looking for something, and then you're trying to mold this person to be who you want them to be, but the whole time the relationship was meant to be a friendship where you led this person to the way, and that was just supposed to be it. Yeah. And that was, and I went through that, and since then learned how to now have relationships, separate, know the difference between the two, and be able to move forward.
It's a hard thing, man. It really, really is. And especially to value the call, and shoot, it's hard enough to know yourself.
Yeah.
It really, really is. It's hard enough to know yourself. This time I've had by myself in the last year or so has been hard but good. It basically it's like having a rare heirloom, and you finding out what the value of it is right before you're about to sell it. Like you about to say, oh, give me $100, and this $100 for that, man. You know you can get $100,000. That time by yourself makes you value your space, learn who you are as a person. Now, the people you allow in your space, because you basically fallen in love with yourself. I like this guy. Right. I know my likes, dislikes. I understand who I am. I'm comfortable in it. I wear it. You know, I know my weaknesses, my strengths. I know my down days, up days. So now, I value the space at a higher level that I won't let everybody in. Yeah. So I spent this year alone developing this person. Right. Well, before you might have had a chance to just come in because I didn't understand the value of it. When you spend that time alone and fall in love with yourself, not to a point to where you're stuck on yourself, you're conceited, you're full of yourself, but to a point that you understand where you are, what you've come out of, and where you're going. And you need a woman or friends that do not see you as a Polaroid, not or a picture. You don't need people to see you as a snapshot frozen in a moment. They meet you and fall in love with that moment. So you're stuck forever in that moment. Every reference in their mind is referring to what you were like when. You need people to see you as an X-ray or MRI or sonogram. They see the movement behind the scene. You can't physically see a child until it matures, maturates in the woman's body, and she gives birth to it. A true friend sees the enveloping of that process on the inside of you, and then you birthing it out. True relationships do the same thing. Exactly. People that will not stand the test of time are those that see you for all your life stuck, frozen in a snapshot.
Hey, what's the forecast?